These mountains form a natural, towering fortress. This geography kept the nation isolated from colonial forces, making it the only African country never occupied. Because of that isolation, crossing its borders today means stepping backward in time, precisely 7 years and 8 months. This historical delay comes from retaining the ancient Coptic calendar while the world adopted the Gregorian. By calculating Christ's Annunciation differently, their year zero shifted backward. Time is a culturally guarded framework. Millions of people in this country wake up and live in a temporal reality separate from our own. That reality is guarded by the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. For centuries, its followers carved strongholds straight into the bedrock, like Lalibella's famous cross-shaped churches. Inside those stone walls, they protect the largest biblical canon on earth. While standard Bibles contain 66 books, the Ethiopian Church preserves 81 distinct texts written on parchment in the ancient Ge'ez script. A researcher named Elias tracked obscure marginalia in these ancient texts that hinted at a hidden shadow canon. He found references to a final, missing tally that the 81 books seemed designed to hide. He believed this hidden 82nd book contained the true math behind the calendar. If they were counting time differently, it wasn't an error, but because they were tracking a cycle the rest of the world had forgotten. Elias's search led him to the ruins of Axum. Surrounded by massive fallen obelisks from an empire that collapsed centuries ago, he discovered the entrance to a hidden subterranean vault. Resting in isolation inside was the 82nd book. According to Elias's notes, early leaders at the Council of Nicaea purged this specific manuscript from the official record, fearing its timeline would strip the common mind of its sense of linear progress. This animation shows a standard timeline of progress, but the 82nd book claims the line bends, snapping into a perfect loop. History is a resetting 7,000-year cycle. This manuscript serves as a physical blueprint for humanity's recurring path. Because of this loop, events that Western scholars brush off as distant mythological prophecy are documented in the 82nd book as concrete, recurring facts. They have happened before, and the book details exactly how they happen again. The text describes a great fire from the sky that stills the invisible lightning men use to talk across oceans. In a modern context, this points to a massive solar event capable of erasing our global digital memory. This loop visualizes the timeline from the previous diagram, but look at the red sliver right before the reset point. Elias realized the 7-year and 8-month gap in the Ethiopian calendar is a deliberate buffer, a countdown to the moment the sun resets the clock. Ethiopia is not lagging behind the modern world. They are the only ones accurately tracking the proximity to the planetary reset. When Elias finally reached the end of the manuscript, he found a page made of a highly polished, mirror-like material rather than parchment. Elias recalled Oxumite oral traditions describing this surface. The elders claimed the final page shows not the man who was, but the man who will be in the next turn of the 7,000-year wheel. Staring down into the surface, Elias saw his own face looking back at him, but the figure in the reflection was draped in synthetic, advanced clothing from a century in the future. By gazing into the book, he realized his discovery was a predetermined event. He was seeing his role in the next cycle before the current one had even ended. Just 3 days after turning to that final page, Elias vanished from Axum without leaving a trace. Those familiar with his research are split on his fate. One camp argues he found a loophole in the text and escaped the loop. The other argues he was absorbed by the cycle, forced to become the next guardian of the vault. We assume our choices carve a path into an unknown future. But if time is truly a circle, our concept of free will is an illusion. If you realized the calendar on your wall was exactly 7 years behind an inevitable planetary reset, what would you do before the clock runs out? We structure our entire lives around a single assumption. Tomorrow always follows today. We treat time as a straight line, pulling us continuously from the past into the future. But in the highlands of Ethiopia, that line breaks. By their official calendar, they aren't living in our present year. They are exactly 7 years and 8 months behind the rest of the world. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church protects the largest biblical canon on earth, consisting of 81 recognized books. Yet a researcher named Elias found references hidden within regional archives pointing to an 82nd text, a manuscript completely absent from official lists, known only as the Shadow Canon. Early church authorities at the Council of Nicaea reportedly scrubbed this manuscript from the historical record, marking its contents as too volatile for the public to access. The effort required to erase a book from every library in Christendom suggests its contents were viewed as a direct threat to the established order. Whatever was in those pages was something the council believed the public could not be allowed to see. The Shadow Canon challenges our basic understanding of history. It states that human civilization does not move forward. This diagram shows humanity exists inside a repeating 7,000-year cycle. At the end of this interval, the clock resets. Every societal milestone and technological evolution we observe today is a rerun, playing out countless times following the same fixed path. This perspective strips away the concept of progress. If every achievement is destined to be overwritten, then our collective history has no destination. When Elias examined the surviving fragments of the text, written in ancient Ge'ez, he found details that did not match the era of the parchment. The book utilizes prophetic history. It records events that have not happened yet in our world, as if they are established facts of the past. One specific passage describes a massive solar event. It depicts an eruption from the sun's surface traveling directly toward Earth. According to the text, this event would purge every server and collapse every power grid, leaving the world's digital memory blank. This collapse provides the mechanism for the reset. Without a digital or written record of the past, the next 7,000-year cycle begins with a clean slate. The manuscript's final page contains a physical anomaly. There is no text or traditional script. Instead, the material is a highly reflective surface, similar to a modern mirror. Legend says looking into this page reflects your future incarnation in the next cycle of time. Elias reported seeing his own face looking back at him, but he was wearing clothing from a century into the future. 3 days after recording this discovery, Elias disappeared. If the mirror's vision is accurate, human life follows a predetermined path that we are completely unable to deviate from, regardless of the historical era. This recontextualizes the actions of the Council of Nicaea. Their censorship suggests they weren't just protecting a doctrine, but were hiding an expiration date for civilization. In modern Ethiopia, the guardians of this ancient calendar continue to follow a different clock than the rest of the world. This 7-year gap serves as a countdown, ticking toward the date the manuscript identifies as the end of the current cycle. Our digital age might simply be the peak of the cycle, standing right before the predicted solar event. If history is a loop and our records are destined to be deleted, it forces us to question how we value the time